This story sent in from one of my followers is absolutely terrifying, and I could not imagine being in her position. She would like to remain anonymous, so we're going to call her Jessica for the story. The main event in this story happened in 2020, but she said it definitely started years earlier. Back in 2017, she had moved in with her now ex-fiance. He owned this old 4-story building that was split into a few apartments. So they were living in the duplex, and she said that almost immediately things felt off. She said whenever she was alone, she would hear noises, but they didn't seem random. They seemed deliberate, specific. The sound of footsteps and movement, as though someone were walking from room to room. At first, she was just trying to tell herself it's just the house settling, but then came the shadows. She would see them through the crack under the door as though someone were passing by. More than once, it was so apparent that she assumed it had been her fiance coming home early from work. So she'd run over and open the door, and then silence. But she knows what she heard. So one day, his son had come over, and he out of nowhere said, "Do you ever feel like someone's walking around when you're alone, especially when you're in the shower?" And in that moment, her stomach dropped because she was not the only one. So now, a year and a half later, they ended up moving into a different unit in the same building. This one was a smaller ground level apartment. And that's when everything got worse. She started having intense sleep paralysis. She said this sleep paralysis didn't feel like the way people casually talk about it. It felt like a situation where she knew someone was there. Even though she couldn't see it, she knew it was watching. She'd wake up unable to move, feeling this heavy presence looming and watching her, hating her even. She even began having panic attacks while she was alone, and she was always feeling on edge. She would be angry and depressed, and she felt like something was just slowly draining her. And then one night, it happened. She wakes up completely frozen. Something was on top of her. She could not breathe. It felt like hands wrapped around her throat. It was squeezing tighter and tighter, and her ears were ringing, and she could hear her heartbeat fading. She literally thought she was going to be unalived, and she was trying every bit of effort to scream or move or something. And then suddenly she was able to break free, and she screamed. And her at the time fiance quickly turned on the light and looked over at her and saw her face, saw her shaking in complete terror. And that's when he told her something he had never mentioned before. His father had lived and died in that exact apartment. And he kind of joked and was like, maybe that's him messing with you. No wonder he's her ex. Anyway, she didn't find it funny. But then she said a few days later, something else happened. She was lying in bed. She wasn't asleep yet. She was just resting with her eyes closed. And then all of a sudden, directly next to her ear, a man's voice yelled, "Jessica!" She said this was so clear, loud, and real. And she asked her fiance if he heard it. And he said, yes, he did. And then he said something that she will never forget. He said, "That sounded like my dad." She did not sleep at all that night, not even a little bit. And shortly after, she ended up moving overseas and starting an entirely new life in Europe. And I wish I could say that it ends there, but it doesn't. She said this thing followed her. The nightmares continued. The sleep paralysis just kept getting worse. She became terrified of the dark, of mirrors, of being alone, and she always felt like she was being watched. To live on edge like that, I could not even imagine. A literal waking nightmare. So eventually, she went and saw a psychic, and she makes note she did not tell this person anything, no details at all. And the first thing she said was, there is a male energy attached to you. Jessica's blood runs cold with that confirmation. So the psychic ends up performing a ritual, and then she gave her very specific instructions. She said, take this object, leave it somewhere isolated, just drop it and run, and don't turn back. So she did just that. She went to a secluded place, left the object there, and turned to leave it. And the moment she dropped it and turned to run, she heard the voice again. It was the same male voice calling out her name. It was right behind her. She said she didn't stop. She didn't look back. She just ran. And then guess what? After that, everything stopped. No more voices, no more shadows, no more sleep paralysis, nothing. She has not experienced anything like it since. But that doesn't stop her from thinking about it sometimes. And she said she often wonders what would have happened if she would have turned around. So many chills. I am sure that Jessica will be in the comments eager to see what you have to say. So drop them below. And if you have a creepy or paranormal story, I would love to hear it. And if you're new here, you gotta follow for more creepy story time.
So I have another spooky, scary story time from one of my supporters. Her name is Cassandra, and Cassandra is 20 years old. Period. Okay, she low-key grown. It was one night where Cassandra didn't have her younger cousins in the house because normally she would watch them. So it was like a Thursday night. She decided that she was gonna do like a full care night and do everything that she wasn't able to do in the beginning of the week this Thursday night. She takes a everything shower, but instead of it actually being a shower, she takes a everything bath. She's got her candles lit. She got the light off in the bathroom. She watching TV on her iPad. She's laying in the bathtub. And she's pretty much just chilling. Cassandra has the door cracked open just a tiny bit. And Cassandra's home by herself. While she's, relaxing, watching scary stories on this iPad of hers in the bathroom with just candles lit, she wasn't scared or anything like that. In the midst of her watching what she's watching, they're talking about a scary story time that happened in a bathroom setting. And like I said, she wasn't scared or anything like that until the bathroom door started creaking, like open and close. And she didn't really think anything of it because she was like, okay, maybe it's the air because I have a lot of hot, like humidity coming from the bathtub. And I'm pretty sure down the hallway from where the door is, it's pretty cold. So maybe that's what it is, right? She's continuing to watch her spooky, scary story times. And after the door is finished, like, doing what it do, creaking, she notices that one of the candles are, like, looking like they want to blow out. And she's just watching the candle to the point where she pauses what she's watching because now she's actually getting spooked out. The one candle, which was the third candle on the left side of the bathtub, because she had 3 on the left side and 3 on the right side. The last candle on the left side, the third one, it blows out. Literally blows out. So she hops up and gets scared shitless. And she's like, this is too coincidental. I'm watching scary story times, taking a bath, and it's weird shit going on. And this is like the same environment that the story is talking about. After that, she's like, okay, let me put on some cartoons to make myself feel better. She puts on some cartoons. Right as soon as she presses play on her video, all the candles blow out. Now, mind you, she was in the dark in the bathtub. It's way darker than what it was already. She gets so scared that she doesn't even finish her care in the bathtub. Doesn't even bother to wrap herself in a towel, dry herself off. She took flight and turned that light on in that bathroom so effing quick. The light turns on in the bathroom and she's like trying to calm herself down because she's like in panic mode to the point where she's damn near having a panic attack. The light is on, like I said. But once she's like getting wrapped up in her towel, getting ready to go in the hallway to get to her room, because she's like, I'm not staying in this bathroom no more, the lights start flickering. Like if it couldn't get already more scarier than what it already was. She's like, that's it. I am literally about to leave this house. She goes in her room. She changes, hurries up. She's on like a time limit while she's doing this. And she ends up calling one of her friends and spending the night at their house because she was like, this is too freaking scary. I'm not doing this. I'm so sorry that I have not posted in 5 days. Please forgive me, guys. And also, I did not forget about the giveaway. I will be DMing the people that won the giveaway with like the gifts and stuff. I don't know if I'm going to do a little separate video on that. Only because it's stressing me out. Like how I have to do this is stressing me out too much. But if you like spooky, scary story times, or if you want me to share yours, definitely follow me and DM me so I can share your stories. And I'm gonna try to get back on my Zoom. It's just been a lot going on. It's so hard to stay consistent when like so much different things are happening in your life.
Say this and I'll say it again. Lock your doors before going to bed. Like, it's just that simple. Now, Crystal, as a child, had always locked her door before bed. Now, she knew that if anything happened, her parents wouldn't be able to get in, but she did not care. For the reason being is that every night around 3 o'clock in the morning, her bedroom door would open by itself and there would be nobody there. And it would wake her up to the point where she would just be frozen, like paralyzed out of fear that whoever was on the other side of the door was going to get her. Now, every time the door opened, there was nobody there. It would just stay open all night long. And then right before sunrise, it would close. The moment the sun came out, and she couldn't understand what was going on. And she would tell her parents about it all of the time. But of course, they didn't believe her. They just thought maybe it was her imagination. She was dreaming it. You know, kids make up things according to these parents. Was that the moment she started locking her door would be shaken every single night viciously, to the point that it felt like her door was going to fall off the hinges. Not only that, but her doorknob would just shake and shake and shake. She says she doesn't understand who has the energy to shake a doorknob from 3 to 6, but whatever this was, that's exactly what it would do every single night. And she couldn't scream, she couldn't say anything because her parents didn't believe her. So she would just sit up in bed, terrorized every single night by someone or something trying to get in her room. And she was literally deciding, should I just leave my door unlocked that night? Because either way, it doesn't show itself. It just opens my door and closes it at 6. So what am I supposed to do? And honestly, at that point, I would just sleep in bed with my parents or sleep on their floor or something and not sleep in that room. But she said she didn't have that option. She only could sleep in her room, and that was that. So I felt really bad for her when she said that. Once she became a teenager, the activity kind of slowed down to the point that she could sleep with her door unlocked and the door wouldn't open. And she kind of let it go, thought that maybe it really was in her imagination and it never really happened. But she said that when she moved away to college is when everything started all over again. And she couldn't understand what was happening. She felt as though whatever it was, it followed her all the way to college. This all happened to her during spring break. Now, most people during spring break either go home or either are partying or go out of state. She and her roommate decided to stay behind and stay in the dorms because, of course, there were parties on campus, but as well as there was nobody around, so it was kind of comforting for both of them. So that one night that she decided to stay alone in the dorm because she didn't want to go to a party with her roommate, is when it all happened. She said that she was in her room and she could hear the door rattle a little bit. And she walked down the hallway and she looked towards the door. And that's when she realized that the door handle was moving slowly from left to right, from left to right. And she kind of froze and said, "Hello?" And the doorknob stopped. And she thought maybe it was my roommate. Maybe she's trying to get in and she's drunk. It is 3 o'clock in the morning. So she says hello again. And at that point, when she said hello again, that's when the door began to viciously shake again, just like when she was a kid. Shake, 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 shake so bad that she kind of jumped back and freaked out because it triggered a memory of her past. So at that point, she grabbed her phone and she's like, "Who's there?" And no answer. The door began to shake viciously, shake viciously, shake viciously, like the door handle was going to fall off, like the door was going to fall off the hinges, just like when she was a kid. And she kept telling the person, "Who are you? Who are you?" And there was no answer at all. She said that the door kept shaking and she could hear this time a heavy breathing on the other side of the door. Now, the door in her dorm room did not have a little peephole for her to look. So she decided to put one of her little mirrors underneath the door. When she was able to adjust the mirror so much so that she can see who's on the other side of the door, she said she saw a man dressed in black trying to break into her dorm. And that's when she freaked out. And the man noticed the mirror and tried to step on it, and she pulled it back and she decided to run to her room and lock the door. When she locked the door to her room is when she heard the door swing open. She grabbed the nearest chair she had in the room and put it right underneath the doorknob. And she said, I'm calling 911. She put 911 on speaker, and the man, I guess, heard her on the phone with 911, and he ran back out the door. She said that night changed her life forever because it all made sense to her. When she was a kid, she was basically seeing the future, and that's what she says that she thinks those night terrors were. They were preparing her for the future, because after that, she said she never heard the door rattle again, swing open again, viciously shake again. She associates her experience to her having premonitions of her future that saved her life. Do you guys think that was? Do you guys think it was premonitions preparing her for the future? Or do you think that she just had bad luck and she was at the wrong place at the wrong time?